Hey everyone, I'm just here with myself, Wyatt Claypool, and my co-host Daniel Bordman to just do a review of last night's leadership debate in Edmonton, Alberta. I'm here on the ground. I was going to do this review that night, but it got so late I didn't want to start up a Facebook Live reviewing the debate when it's like 11 o'clock in Eastern Canada, like no one's gonna watch it. And I was supposed to also do this like later tonight, but I was thinking it's kind of weird to do an entire debate review like 24 hours after the fact. So we're here for a morning episode of TNT Live or whatever we're doing here to talk about the worst debate we've ever seen in our entire lives and attempt to grade the candidates considering that they had like nothing to work with. So, do you want maybe you want to give me your impression since you were watching online? Because I was kind of in an awkward position in the sort of auditorium because all the media had to sort of sit to the sideline. Like, was
Yeah.
that as bad like online as it was like in real life?
So I have 15 seconds to answer, right? Okay. So the thing is, no, it was terrible, and Twitter was blowing up. Um, One of the rules, like Tom Clarke, the moderator is essentially the referee. And there's an old sports adage that applies here that if you notice the referee, he's doing a bad job. And that's what everyone online was talking about was the moderator and how terrible he was doing. So that's a good indicator that if Tom Clarke, if people know who the moderator was, then he did a bad job. I mean, I think
Man,
Murray gets it right here. I watched. What the hell was that? Exactly.
I
That was
remember that was the worst thing I'd ever seen when they came on like he's interviewed every single prime minister since Diefenbaker or whatever. I forget the guy he even said. It was some other prime minister. I didn't care, and I was like, oh, is he like an old grizzled veteran who's like really good at his job? He's like, no, he's actually kind of a clown. I'm not sure what that was. It was so funny. They were like, as soon as the debate was starting, they're like, people want to hear about substantive issues, so we want to get straight to the policy. What's your favorite show to binge watch? Like, it's hard to even. I'm never gonna forget this debate. So I guess Tom Clarke has like cemented himself in history with this thing. No one's
as
ever gonna
as
forget him.
as the worst of all time. Yeah, it was like let's just talk about logistical problems off the bat because that was the number one thing of the bit is they could those idiots couldn't figure out the feedback. They couldn't figure out
Yeah.
the
Oh,
microphone
it
feedback.
was it hurt your ears in the actual auditorium. It was terrible.
Yeah, and it came through on TV as well. So that was atrocious. Their whole thing to maximize substance and make sure everyone can see and get a real into it. Look what they you can't have substance and give people 15 seconds to answer. It's ridiculous. You can't have okay, what's your view on this? 15 seconds. You have 15
Yeah,
seconds
we'll
to
we'll get
answer.
we'll get to the really dumb questions in a second. But I was even gonna say because people sort of say there's the dumb questions and there's serious questions. Even the serious questions, like the face-off format that they had, which based on the fact that they kept asking about pop culture, I was wondering if they were gonna make people debate the movie Face Off. But it was ridiculous. We were just like the face-off out portion was kind of weird. You'd pick someone you want to debate, but then people would kind of bring up other people. So it's like, well, Pierre Polyev picked Patrick Brown to face off with. Then Pierre mentioned Charest, but Charest can't say anything. So it just becomes this clown show where they have like
You raise your
20,
paddle.
they have like 5 seconds to debate something back and forth. And it's always on questions where there's no real friction, anyways. So there's no point in facing off.
Yeah, there's no point of facing off. Like, choose your debate partner. And then it's like, you don't want to pick Polyev because you don't want to give Polyev time to talk, right? You want to pick someone like, yeah, the strategy for Charest should be like contrast himself to Lewis, right? Because that's the thing he's going after, or fight Brown for the Red Tories. Like, that's where he should be. Like Charest should have picked Brown and then contrasted himself to the right of someone. And Charest should have been like, I think the carbon tax is bad, or I think I'm a non-hyphenated
I,
conservative. Brown would be like, listen, guys, Hezbollah is pretty cool, all right? And what I think is if I work together with Hezbollah and the Tamil Tigers, we can make a environmentally friendly nuclear weapon to blow up Israel. And that's what
Man,
I
I
promise.
was so
And Charest was more right wing
I
than
was
that.
so disappointed in Pierre Polyev when he brought up the axe wielding eco terrorists. When it went back to Brown and he says, "Oh yes, I'm also against this sort of like environmental extremism and terrorism," and Pierre should have said, then why do you want the Tamil Tigers off the terrorism watch list? It would have been the perfect transition if you were to ever bring that up. That's the time to bring it up. Actually, I was trying to get into the during the media scrum. I was trying to get a question off to Patrick Brown, and the question was going to be, what's your justification for wanting or for pledging to take the Tamil Tigers off the terrorism, take away the terrorism designation for the Tamil Tigers?
And apologize to them, which is
Yeah.
another thing. So not only is he going to take the Tamil Tigers off the terrorist watch list, he's then going to offer them an apology for criticizing them for blowing things up.
Yeah.
This is the Patrick Brown campaign.
No, but okay. Okay,
right,
so maybe we should get to the stupid questions.
All right, let's do stupid questions.
Let's do getting to know you questions.
Yeah, I mean, Arupa on Twitter called it a bad first date. I called it a slumber party, not a debate. There were 3 absolute moronic questions. So let's backtrack. Let's circle back first, because the whole thing, I mean, Patricia, we'll get on it. Very bad moderator. And the worst thing the moderator did is he took time off the top, and he kept being like, well, we need to save time. We need to save time. So they do these things where, oh, you can't clap. Why are there people there if you're not allowed to clap or cheer?
Yeah, the crowd reactions are such a big part of debates. Is that does the person have the room's momentum on their side? Who's supporting this person? And the whole point is that people write answers to questions that get a crowd reaction. So when you have someone sort of acting like or speaking like they're trying to get the crowd pumped, and everyone's supposed to sit there because Tom Clarke doesn't want them hurting his ears, is ridiculous.
So I'm not sure who's responsible for this stupidity. Was it Tom Clarke or the Conservative Party? Now, the Conservative Party deserves some blame because they picked Tom Clarke. I think last night showed why the Conservative Party is a loser party. And I'm not saying conservative people, I'm not saying candidates. I'm just saying the party, the execs, you could say the people entrenched there, the campaign managers, the swamp that is the conservative elites are absolute losers. And last night showed it perfectly. They choose a liberal like Tom Clarke. And the best moment of the day was when the actual thing, eco-terrorists, when Polyev pushed back. Because Tom Clarke kept framing every issue in the way the liberals want it framed. And that was the best example, was the Ottawa occupation, okay? The Conservatives' pathway to victory relies on them being able to frame the Freedom Convoy as a protest in favor of civil liberties. The path to victory for the Liberals relies on them framing the Freedom Convoy as an illegal occupation, even though it wasn't. The judge ruled them legal to be there, so that's detached from reality. So the fact that the Conservative Party had a moderator there who was going to frame things in the way the Liberals need them framed is a travesty. So you're letting a liberal set the battlefield for the conservative candidates to debate. This wasn't the national debate where it's Rosemary Barden. There's Rosemary Barden, CTV's Rosemary Barden, Global News is Rosemary Barden, one man for diversity thing, and then it's like Athelia Raj or whatever. That's the federal debate where there's 5 different moderators, 5 different parties, 5 seconds to answer 5 questions. It's stupid. But you expect the national debate to be run by the Liberals debate committee. The Conservative Party debate was run by the Liberals.
Yeah, it was run by the Liberal who asked Justin Trudeau what kind of shampoo he uses. We should have expected this based on the guy's history. It wasn't like, well, what's wrong with Tom Clarke? It's like, no, you hired Tom Clarke. That was the problem.
Yeah, I mean, you hired Tom Clarke. You let him come in. So
they should have let in an independent journalist just host it, because they would have been far more neutral. You know what? Honestly, have Andrew Lawton do it. I've seen Andrew Lawton do debates. He's fantastic. He's a really good moderator.
He did the one between O'Toole and Derek Sloan.
He's done other ones previously,
yeah,
but he asked very neutral
and then Peter
questions.
McKay ran away.
Yeah.
That was the thing. Paul is right. It's not an occupation. This is what you need to do. But you're right, because when Candice Malcolm and Jamil Javrani hosted the debate, it was great. The last debate was great. What happened? I can tell everyone what happened. The last debate was an absolute banger. People loved it. But stupid Patrick Brown and Jean Charest supporters know that they don't like winning. They're losers. So they did the loser thing, and they got on Twitter, and they were acting like absolute crybaby losers. It wasn't intellectual enough for me. I like Hezbollah and the Tamil Tigers and blah, 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 blah. So they listen to the Twitter mob. Oh no, we need to show that we're more intellectual. So we'll put all these rules in. And they always, the Conservative Party always listens to the people of their worst interests at heart. That's what the Conservative Party is. We always need to undermine ourselves. We hire. So the last debate was an absolute banger. Instead of repeating that and just letting the people gloves come off, oh no, we didn't want to get anyone's
I would say
feelings.
what worked so well about it too is that the thing is that they'd bring up a topic, they'd let someone start as they were talking, someone else could chime in if they wanted, and if someone had their name brought up, they would definitely throw up their hand because they wanted to respond to it. It was like watching a Republican primary debate. It was just, here's a good issue, how let's all talk about it. And then everyone got their moment to talk about it, and then people could interject in and out. It was an actual debate. I always hate this kind of overly formal style of debate. Like, no, 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 we chose not to give you time, so you're not allowed to speak. This person's going to go 15 seconds, then this person's going to go 2.5 seconds, then this person's going to go like it's so
If you,
controlled. No, people aren't acting like real people, so no one's
and then
being able to connect. It was so funny. Why do questions trying to humanize the people? Oh, people want to know more about you, but also we're going to give you such little time, and the format's going to drown out your personality.
yeah, I mean, I would be fine if they asked one of those questions near the end as a palate cleanser. Like before closing statements, hey guys, what are you watching right now? What's the last TV show or book you're at? That's a fine question if there's one of them at the end to sort of tone everyone down, give everyone a human moment to say, oh, I'm reading this, I'm reading this. If someone absolutely flubs it, that's their fault. But it's just sort of an easy.
The only stupid thing about that question is that no one's ever going to answer that. Like really, like Pierre
Yeah,
Poilievre's not reading 12 Rules for Life.
yeah,
Spoiler
exactly.
alert. He is
He
not.
just
He's just trying
he's
to get
just
a
like,
certain type
oh,
of vote.
he's just like,
I
I'll
think
go
I
after
think
you sometime.
people were saying that that I think Leslie Lewis's book was probably the only actual book uh like like the candidate was reading. I forget what it was, but it was like one of those ones where like yeah, it was boring enough that I could see that that's the one that she's actually reading at home currently.
Yeah, I would just start
Like
talking about
Roman
all the
Baber said,
fantasy
I'm
books
reading
right now.
David and Goliath. I'm like, that's not a book. That's a chapter of the Bible. Like,
Yeah.
it's not even a full book of it.
Well, I mean, David Goliath could be a title for a lot of different books. Like it could be a book about like Israeli history or something. You
He
never
should probably explain that because I'm thinking like the guy's slowly working his way through an 18 line Bible chapter.
know. I would listen. I think that's where you don't like if you want to be, if there's one of those questions, it's fine near the end. And I think you do better by not answering it as like I'm reading Wilfrid Laurier's biography right now. Like no one cares, right? Try and like show a bit of
But yeah,
personality. Like I would,
but the problem with any of those questions is that it's naturally going to make people say politically intelligent things.
exactly.
Where it's like when they asked everyone, "Who's your political hero?" It's then like two of them picked Nelson Mandela. It's like, of course they did, because like you have to. It's you're contractually obligated. If there's more than two people on stage that someone says Nelson Mandela, it like and like
Yeah, you're
whoever
not
other
allowed to say
people said like
Winston Churchill. I thought Poilievre's answer on Laurier was actually really strong there on
yeah.
Laurier, and he showed like some actual knowledge and like he would pick fights with the Scottish boys and flirt with the Scottish girls. Like okay, that was the human answer. Now that you brought up Nelson Mandela, I have to tell this anecdote about former Leafs goalie Jonathan Bernier because it's my favorite Nelson Mandela story. It was like Nelson Mandela Day, and Jonathan Bernier was obviously not the smartest guy ever. So they asked him about it on like some day as like the Leafs goalie, and he's like, "Yeah, he's a big hero of mine. He always gave like 110% out there. Like he just thought he was another hockey player, which is so funny." He answered the question like, "Oh yeah, Nelson Mandela, like he was some like hockey player." Like, "Oh yeah," totally. He had no idea who Nelson Mandela was, and he just started saying, "Yeah, he gives it 110% out there. He always works really hard." It was just, he gave the cookie cutter hockey answer to it. It was so funny. um, there. Okay. Yeah. Steve Stinton found that David and Goliath is an actual book. There you go.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. You probably should have explained that better. That was really weird.
Yeah. There's a thing. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe
So
we
you
should go into a
had.
candidate mark. So, like Karen from the Rideau said, I was really disappointed with Lewis again. I, I'm going to get into the whole point where I don't think you could get anyone in this debate higher than a B simply because the format screwed them over. And I'm almost going to forgive most people's bad answers because everyone had their rhythm thrown off by all the stupid questions and terrible format. What like all the candidates have notes in front of them. but they're notes so that they could give a 1 minute answer to something. And like as soon as you're saying 15 seconds, they have to crunch all this information into nothing. And it's like you could tell that Lewis at certain times was like trying to really hard get all of her notes out in like this tiny, like cramped moment, and she didn't know what to bring up, so she's kind of confused on which part should be more important that I should talk about. So it's like her green energy answer. Half the answer was actually good, and then she didn't follow through. Is the whole it was the whole. I even told her campaign manager this. I was like, you have to cut her answer down on this thing. It was the part where she's talking about Trump's, like Trump's America actually reducing greenhouse gas emissions and meeting their
Loved it.
Paris Climate Accords.
Loved
Great
it.
that she brought that up, but then she should have followed up rather than talking about all the issues with green tech or wanting to know more information or discuss more about it. Just say it's because they deregulated natural gas and it has low emissions and it's extremely efficient, so everyone will use it, and that's how they brought down emissions. It would have been a perfect answer, and just leave it there. Don't even use it the rest of your time. And I think that was like, especially in a French debate, don't have this whole sort of story about cobalt mining and like Africa and whatnot for green like energy, like for like EVs and whatnot. It kind of just got a bit off in the weeds. Just keep it simple.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, so I grade for me, the range of grades is not even a B. It's C plus or B minus. Like those are the only two grades you could really score here. It's C plus or B minus. Um, Lewis C plus
Yep.
because I love that green energy. I love she brought up the Paris Accord thing, but she just had her rhythm thrown off. She kind of had a big boomer moment on the CBDCs versus Bitcoin.
And the thing is, 4 people agreed with her, so she was on the majority, but it was still embarrassing. It's like,
But exactly, but she was on the
oh,
majority, but she also made mistakes.
she also
So
was the one who brought it up.
yeah, she was the one who brought it up, and she made mistakes. Like she did the whole, well, you said you're against digital currencies, and Bitcoin's a digital currency, and Paul said central bank digital currency. Not like,
Yeah,
so we're not going to get
the
into,
funny
we're not
thing,
going to explain the differences here. Like we've done enough of that in TNT. But C plus for Jean Charest, and Jean Charest's problem was Jean Charest did this good thing. Like I actually think on review, I think Jean Charest benefited more from the first debate because listen, the conservatives aren't going to vote for him, but he showed he had energy. So he defeated the whole Canadian Joe Biden type thing by Jean Charest showed that he was awake. Jean Charest has a pulse, he's awake, and he speaks English better than Jean Chrétien. So on those few things, I think he did well in the first debate, showing that, oh my God, this guy is not dead. So he kind of beat expectations in that way. Where he flubbed this debate is he kept doing the same cadence to get angry. And this is where the sort of taking the crowd out of it might have hurt him. So F minus to Tom Clarke, F double minus,
yeah.
double F minus to Tom Clarke, double F minus to the Conservative Party. But C plus for Jean Charest. And the reason he kept screwing up is he had this thing where he would work himself into it and then get angry and start yelling and being really impassioned about what we need to do. The problem is you can't do that every single answer. He did that too often. And as again, I'm giving you guys background as a stand-up comedian, tour guide, public speaker. You cannot do that out of nowhere. In order to get angry and show passion in front of a crowd, you need to get the crowd on your side. And the way anger works as a public speaker in a positive way is when you convince the crowd that you're expressing their anger. And though you have to do it is you need to get them on your side with something like Trudeau bad, Jagmeet stupid, blah, blah, blah. And what they're doing to our country is, and then you have to make it a we. You have to build up, make you the head of the crowd that is a we, and then you show anger, and then people feel like, yeah, he's really getting us. But just doing it out of nowhere without giving a villain first or a subject to get angry, it just looked like he was yelling at clouds. So that was really
I
bad.
was walking around the room during the debate a little bit at that point, and a lot of people were just like, John Charest just seems like Biden today, in the sense not that he's flubbing what he's saying, but he just doesn't seem to be like there. He seems to be really kind of just saying odd things, like bringing up very like again, like yeah, it was like the very put on anger. He just seemed odd the entire night.
It was a good anger cadence. He did practice that, and it was a good political anger cadence. The problem is he wasn't using it right. Like it's anger and frustration and then passion. Like when
Yeah.
you use sort of anger or hard passion, it's hard to use. It's like very risk reward. In order to use it properly, you have to get people on your side. And the only way anger works as a public speaker is when you are expressing the anger of the crowd. at something else, but he didn't do that. So C plus, which is the lowest graded fellow. B minus is the highest grade. Polyev gets a B minus because I mean, he didn't have much time, but considering he was the front runner and the debate was a total disaster, he didn't lose ground, so that's good, and no one could really gain any ground on him. So it's good. So
I thought he would have, like, I don't think he's a C plus. I think he's still B minus, but I
I
think
said
it
B
still
minus.
hurt. I know. I'm not saying he's a C plus. He's still a B minus in my mind, but I think the debate still hurt him because it kind of hurt his momentum a lot because it made him he only had time to sort of get off his little points that he would say at rallies. It was kind of robotic in a certain sense. And again, it's the format's fault. He can only repeat the kind of his sort of big bossy government and freedom lines, and that's it. Because like the thing is that there's nothing else. There's no time. He can only say his sort of rehearsed bits, and he doesn't have because like what was so great about the first debate is that he just had creative little ways of going after the other candidates, great turns of phrase when he's debating back and forth with Jean Charest. And this time he had no time for that, so he's just saying whatever he says at his rallies, and that's it. It was like basically just rally speeches everyone was giving because like there's no time to debate. There's like nothing was there.
Yeah, I agree. Scott Atkinson gets a B minus just because he was there and existing. He didn't hurt himself, didn't help himself. He just still exists.
He looked
Roman
like he was
Baber,
on the level with everyone else simply because of the format again. Because the format made everyone look boring. Scott Atchison, you're like, this guy could be the prime minister someday.
you'll be in my cabinet, and you'll be in my cabinet, and you'll
Yeah,
be in my cabinet. He got some laughs from the crowd, had some levity moments. He's not there to win. He's there to just like make friends, and I think he made some friends there. So good for Scott Atkinson. Roman Baber, B minus. I think he might have won a few. Like this debate hurts him because these are like the time for people to know Roman Baber. He showed it's interesting. Doug Ford's now a villain to the Conservative Party. If you remember the Andrew Scheer election, he was too conservative for um, the little baby cats that run the Conservative Party, that they were so scared of Doug Ford because he's too conservative. By the Aaron O'Toole election, Doug Ford was campaigning with Justin Trudeau, and now in this one, he's a radical leftist. So interesting. And Roman Baber, I think, gets points for actually speaking out on COVID stuff. He kind of put himself more on the right. He was against supply management with Scott Atkinson. And Baber's taking a lot of all his positions are to the right of center here, so I think he's doing well to endear himself.
yeah,
I think Roman Baber has earned himself an MP spot. I think he will run federally. I think he will get
yeah.
into I think he got booted from the provincial party. I think he will get accepted into the federal party. So his political career looks like it will live on. So good for him.
I wish someone would do this because I think it would be such a big boon to them. Of course, you're not going to flat out endorse it as an entire entity, but I would just go on if anyone ever asked them about the provincial election, I'd just say like, yeah, I hope that Doug Ford retains his government because the NDP and the Liberals are nuts and whatnot, and Doug Ford blah 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 does some good things. It's a lie, but whatever. But then I would say then they should probably say, oh, but I would feel remiss if I didn't also say that I think Belinda Carvalho should be reelected because she's been great over the past couple of years. You would immediately gain so much support by just actually acknowledging the fact that Belinda's very good at her job.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Like, who cares? Ryan Riddell, who's the PC candidate in that area, is literally a green freak. The guy literally is talking about climate alarmism during debates. He's saying that you guys should get vaccinated because of respect. It's weird. He just like I wear a mask because of respect. It was the weirdest answer ever for why he still goes around for like triple masking. He couldn't say it because it reduces the spread, so he's just going around because I respect people. Okay, man.
Yeah, what a guy. And then the final grade for the night is Patrick Brown, who gets an H plus for Hezbollah.
Yeah. No, that doesn't have to be explained anymore.
But okay, take his Patrick B minus because the format really benefited him. Because if there was a good format like the previous one, the debate he ran away from, if it was more of a free for all, I think everyone would have just started piling up on Brown, and he would have been exposed as I mean, he's running a campaign based on like bringing Hezbollah sympathizers into the Conservative
Oh, it
Party.
was so creepy. It was so creepy when he had his supporters showing up. You could tell it was Brown supporters, not only because it was usually like Sikh people and people from like minority communities, but they all showed up at the debate in like packs of 12, as if they were kind of being bussed in, and they were all sitting with each other at like the side. in the debate. So like when he said something and people started clapping, it was all the left side of the room pretty much because they were just all sort of packed over there. It was extremely well organized. But yeah, I think that it benefited Patrick Brown because he didn't want to be there tonight. But if you're not there for the official debate, the party fines you $50,000.
Yeah, I mean, I want to like. There's part of me that was like, you had to realize, I think, halfway through the debate that you should have just started breaking the rules. Like,
100%. You should
like
just gone
if I
after the
was,
moderator. You said, Tom, what is this? What are we doing here? Can we actually debate during this debate? Or are you just going to keep like babying us? This is weird.
if I was anyone but Polyev, I would have done that.
Yeah.
Because again, Polyev's a front runner, so he doesn't need to take crazy risks. And he took a shot at the moderator, which was good and an appropriate one. But if I was Roman Baber, or like, especially if I was Roman Baber and I'm at like 1-2%, I would say, you know what, screw it. I said, Tom, this debate sucks. I'd say, every time he's like, well, no clapping. It's like, well, I'm taking time off your moderation. Every time you go into a 2-minute diatribe about clapping, I'm taking your time off. I think Baber should have just gone at the whole thing. Like,
if you just took a shot at it, people would just because you're like because it's like it's like that itch. Everyone wants one of the people to like the people on stage to echo how stupid this all is.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis would have benefited most because that's like her thing. If like Lewis had just been like,
literally all you can say is, "Can we have some debate at this debate, please, Tom?" And you would have been perfect.
Yeah, if I think if Lewis was the first one to take a shot at Tom, I think it would have really played for her because again, she's got a base, she's got a bit of an audience, she's got a name, she has a bit of contender. I think Lewis could have scored real points. No, it's hard to do because you don't know how it's being interpreted. Like, it's different when you're up there and you're on in the crowd. Like, it's very different to sort of suss out how everyone's feeling.
I'm just looking at my email, and it's really funny that I see like this email that says like from Ed Fast. It's like, this debate proved why we need John Charest. I'm like, this debate, I don't even know what happened at this debate, man. And I was there. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, Ed Fast, the O'Toole, the O'Toole fool that was going to replace Polyev.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, Carlo. This is far better than the actual debate. You do not actually need to watch the debate. The questions were stupid. The format sucked. Even if the question was good, you had no time to answer and no time to debate with anyone.
All right, so the real question all Canadians want to know but wasn't answered was boxers or briefs.
That was the joke everyone was making inside the place.
Yeah.
Of just saying so Roman Baber, boxers or briefs, or they would just be like, what is your what is it?
Favorite color?
I know his favorite color is another one people are making fun of. I was going to say something about horoscope, whatever, like your sign. What's your sign?
What's your zodiac sign?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's such a Libra thing to say. I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Clarke was just like, oh my God, you're such a Libra.
Again, like, this is the guy who was in a biplane flying around Justin Trudeau, like asking a bunch of hair products he uses. It's ridiculous. And you thought this guy was going to be neutral? Like, maybe let's go. Everyone hates Justin Trudeau's guts right now. Can we get someone who's like, get Don Cherry to host the debate? People actually watch it. That'd been amazing. You just have to make sure he slows down how he talks so people know what the question was.
Let Don Cherry be Don Cherry. You know what? When I listen, guys, we're forming a militia. We're taking over the Conservative Party, and we're going to redo this debate. Okay, I will be the moderator. Patrick Brown will come on stage with Hassan Nasrallah, so you know who his campaign manager is. Everyone gets to redo it. We're having a form, but Don Cherry will do the intermission. There'll be an intermission in which Don Cherry breaks it down. And Don Cherry will be with Wyatt, because you need a Ron McLean guy to just be like, what the hell's going on?
Just and like, hey, no, Don, settle down. No, it's okay.
That'll be you.
This will be me the entire debate, just doing this in front of him.
Yeah. So it'll be Don Cherry and Wyatt Claypool will be doing the intermission. I will be drinking the blood of my enemies, which is the executive the Conservative Party.
Oh man, no, at the Independent Press Gallery debate, I think they have like someone from of course, like True North, the Western Standard. I'm not sure if it's like Rebel News. I think they have someone moderating. I'd love to see this is just some random tangent. I'd love to see Spencer Fernando moderate a debate. I think he's really good. If you've ever seen his podcast, and he's also someone who Andrew Lawton's really good at making very neutral questions when he talks to people.
Yeah, I mean, we could just take someone from the comment section to be the moderator, and they'd be a better moderator.
Actually, sorry, the Independent Press Gallery debate won this debate because everyone's going to
Okay.
watch that debate because they actually want to hear the substance. And there, if there was ever, if someone was ever trying to invent a drinking game for a debate, they'd have to say at the Independent Press Gallery debate, every time someone mentions during it how bad the last debate was, you have to finish your drink.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to watch the French language debate. One, I don't want to
I
subject
don't
myself to
care.
this again, and also French
Debate.
isn't a real language.
You know what
It's not.
ticked me off about the press scrum? You have French reporters showing up to the English debate to ask French questions. I just find it odd. Come on, there's
Yeah,
literally going to be a French debate later in which anyone who asks an English question is going to be rightfully shot in the head. Like, no one's ever going to dare ask another language question during a French debate, but you'll have French reporters kind of muscle through. That's the dumbest question in French. Like during the about nothing. It's always about a Quebec, and it's always about something that didn't even take place during the debate. Anyways, but I actually did ask a question during the press scrum, though. I asked it to Leslyn Lewis, and we actually might have Leslyn Lewis on the show at some point. But I was just asking her if people can sort of go back and watch the tape. Maybe I'll clip it out. I'm a bit of a nervous person, so I think I flubbed a bit of it, but whatever. I was just asking if she ever finds it fair that a lot of people go after her for being contentious on abortion when nobody's ever going to have to explain their oddly contentious position that it's okay to like kill a kid if it's a girl before they're born. Like no one's ever having to defend the fact that they're just okay with that, even though it's like clearly more messed up. And yeah, and she didn't have too bad of an answer, but I guess
yeah,
that's kind of where this whole thing leaves us off now.
yeah. I mean, I think yeah. Last night's debate, there's just nothing to break down. What were the three? What were the stupid questions? Let's recap the stupid. In case you guys weren't listening,
Yeah,
let's tell you what the actual stupid questions were. These are some. In case you missed it, these were real questions that were asked at the debate. One, what book are you reading right now?
yeah. Like
Two, who's your
what?
political hero? And you can't say Winston Churchill. Um, three, what TV show are you currently binge watching?
No, it's your favorite TV show to binge watch.
Your favorite TV show to binge watch? Okay. I think there was another one. There were four stupid questions I remember, maybe just three. Um,
There's another one. It was like another. What's your hero that wasn't political or something? I forget because they had like two questions where they're all naming heroes.
did they have two
Like
questions?
there was like four of them. Definitely, there's four.
Because
No,
there's a, who's
music,
your
music,
political
favorite
hero?
music. It was music.
Sorry.
It was the music question.
Oh yeah, the music. Yeah, what type of
What
music?
was
Like what's that?
favorite?
Yeah, was it like what
Favorite?
type of jazz do you listen to as well? It wasn't even like what's your favorite music? Like what jazz are you listening to or something?
I'm not sure if he was asking about artist or whatever because
Yeah.
Lewis was the first one to answer. She's like, "Oh, I like jazz." Like, who do you like? And she's like, "Oh, well, I have to actually think of that." And, like,
She
it was
said
such a
Coltrane. She
weird.
came up with Coltrane.
What?
Yeah, she came up with John Coltrane. And Donna points out,
I didn't
yet
know that
nobody
she
asked
said
if
that. I
you
thought
were a
she said
tree,
someone
what
else.
type of tree would you be? Basically that was a lovely So there was music. What type of music do you like? What's your favorite show to binge watch? What book do you currently are you reading?
And the
Sean Sherry
problem
says
is
like some book on
too many of
Russia.
those. The problem is too many of those have actual answers. When I say that, I mean like Pierre Polyev had the right music answer. You are in Edmonton. You pick a country singer. You
Yeah.
pick Glenn Grant or whoever he picked. You do not say jazz. You do not say any of this stuff. You definitely don't say what Roman Baber said, which was like I don't know who it was. It was like someone equivalent to Celine Dion or something like that. I forget. It doesn't really matter. But it was just like, why don't say just lie, just lie. You all, guys all like Alan Jackson and Chasing That Neon Moon's your favorite song. You are not in the correct place. When you are in Quebec, it's whatever the Quebec version of the French national anthem is. Do not answer things correctly. Just lie. I'm turning this entire streaming into just this rhetoric and just this chant of just lie.
Wyatt's advice
When
for
you're
life.
on stage,
Just
just lie.
lie. Just
Just
lie.
lie. Someone asks you your favorite book, the only two correct answers are like a Winston Churchill biography and like the Bible. That's the only books you know. Or Patrick Brown, you say the Quran and you hold it up and you start waving and saying Allah, and then you just start like chanting or something. But that's not a question. Music, it's like yeah, country music. Favorite book, or sorry, I already did book, but it's like when you get to your hero, it's like Nelson Mandela or like Margaret Thatcher if you're Leslyn Lewis because you got to play the woman card when you're answering the question.
Babber picked Thatcher, and Lewis did
He did. Did
Nelson
he pick
Mandela.
Thatcher? I thought he picked someone else.
No, Roman Babber did Thatcher. Lewis did Nelson Mandela. Atkinson kind of panicked. He was like, yeah,
Baber
Nelson
did Nelson
Mandela, sure.
Mandela. No, Baber
Polyev
did
had
Nelson.
the only good answer, which was
I don't think anyone brought up Thatcher. I'm confused.
no. Roman Babber brought up Thatcher. Roman Babber did Thatcher. And Polyev had a good Laurier answer. I'm like, oh, that was he actually showed that he knew something about Wilfrid Laurier. Polyev's answer was actually like, oh, here's time for me to flex my knowledge about Wilfrid Laurier, which is an actual Canadian icon. There's some anecdotes, and it's like, oh, that was good. Patrick Brown picked like his neighbor. It was like a name dropping thing. Patrick Brown thinks he's schmoozing with a bunch of lawyers. He's like, yeah.
I was really surprised
like,
that Baber
neighbor.
didn't say my favorite person is Melissa Lantzman because she always gets applause in every room she's in. Like the last time, yeah, like that was so weird at the last debate when he just brought up Melissa Lantzman to get like a really cheap applause line. I'm like, does anyone really like Melissa Lantzman? I feel like she gets applause because other people think that they like her. Like it's like nobody likes her, but everyone thinks other people like her, so they'll clap.
Yeah.
As though she's like not bad, she's just there.
Yeah, that's the other thing. And I can't remember. Yeah, Patrick Brown. I can't remember who Jean Charest picked, but it doesn't matter. Jean Charest picked his mom, my mom.
Jean Charest. He also might have picked Nelson Mandela.
Jean Charest said my mom is his hero.
I think it was Nelson Mandela. No. He picked some Irish.
Atkinson.
No. Yeah, sorry. It's Atkinson because
I believe Charest picked someone who was assassinated by the Irish.
Yeah. He was some like Irish nationalist who moved over to Canada who was then assassinated. That was weird. That was like the most honest. That was the honest answer of that question. That's the only honest answer because it was so stupid and obscure. Well, I think not stupid, but it was such a stupid thing to say in a crowd of people who wouldn't know what you're talking about. That you knew it was the one that was the actual real one.
Yeah.
Like if Leslie Lewis had like Ian Paisley, that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it'd be hilarious in the French debate if someone did a Marshawn Lynch thing, like Roman Babber, just like come in and just did I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Patrick Brown should have done that. He literally should have walked off stage and said, I'm going to go sell memberships across the street. And he wouldn't have had to pay the fine. He would have just looked like an idiot. But he would have sold more memberships. It only hurts Patrick Brown to not be selling memberships. That's his only way of winning. He's a membership salesman. That's it.
Yeah, his thing is to like go into places where people are more pro Hezbollah or their equivalent to Hezbollah. Be like, I'll be the candidate that will finally have the Conservative Party support Hezbollah or this Khalistani militant organization or the Tamil Tigers. So buy a membership and vote for me. Like I know you usually vote Liberal, but come on, like Hezbollah, you love it, I love it, we all love it. Get some Hezbollah in your life, and that's that's his gig. Because again, like on Google Trends, like Patrick Brown never spiked. No one was Googling, oh, who's Patrick Brown? He didn't win anything on the debate stage. His only pathway to victory is just sell memberships to people who will never vote for conservatives unless they promise to, like Patrick Brown is, to do vote bank politics and legalize whatever terrorist group they personally support.
Yeah, like I could see if Patrick Brown was ever the leader, you'd see a lot of nominations get opened up and filled with people who have business being MP nominees.
Yeah, let's bring up how terrible Patrick Brown's emails are. Alyssa, do you like Hezbollah? Are you gonna join up in ISIS? Well, don't join ISIS. Join Patrick Brown, and I'll make ISIS a thing in Canada. You won't have to go to Syria to join a terrorist organization. I will build my own Canada-based Hezbollah for you to join. Save on travel costs. That helps the environment. Patrick Brown.
The next debate, I'm pretty sure Patrick Brown's not going to show up because he's not going to get fined. But if he does show up and no one brings up the Tamil Tigers, I'll be like, I will burn something down. I'll probably make a small structure burn down so it doesn't get too violent. But oh my goodness, people have to bring that up. It's like the craziest thing ever, and no one's going to talk about it. No, here, wait. I'm remembering something from the debate. Why ask an abortion question and then say, let's dig down more into this? Jean Charest, Scott Aitchison, talk more about it. What? Like the two, you're going to have the most boring pro-choice people on stage talk about it. And John Charest kept acting like Pierre Poilievre wasn't pro-choice. It was
Yeah.
weird. He kept saying, "Oh, he's hiding from this," as if that was all that was said on his notes. This is why people were saying he was like Joe Biden. It doesn't matter if someone literally he was contradicting himself multiple times, or Pierre said, "Hey, I'm not going to pass any like pro-life legislation," and then Jean Charest's like, Patrick, like Pierre Poilievre is running away from this question. What's his answer on abortion? And honestly, actually, this is the one. This is one of the good Lewis moments from the debate is that she actually did call out Pierre Poilievre. Like, you can't say you're in favor of free votes and then say your government's not going to pass any pro-life legislation. That's ridiculous. And that was a contradiction.
Yeah, but I mean, it's honest though. Like, there's not enough votes inside the Conservative Party to ever pass legislation.
But
If it's a free
my
vote,
point is, it would have been better if he just stayed right in the middle, but been very clear on it. It says, "Hey, I'm not. I'd vote against it, but if my own MPs put something forward and they passed it, then that's on them. I'm not going to affect them. Free. It's all up to free votes. I'm pretty sure nothing would get passed anyways." Although, again, this is also why I would tell like Lewis's team, you have to bring up on stage, you have to make the other candidates justify late term and sex selective abortion because by polling, those are incredibly unpopular. You're pro-choice and you would be against sex selective abortion. Like it's one of those ones where it doesn't matter if you're pro-choice or pro-life, everyone's against those things. So
yeah,
if you just make people justify those practices staying legal on stage, they won't be able to say anything because there's no justification for them. They're ridiculous. Like
yeah, no,
I
you're
desperately
right.
need to
You got
kill
to
my
do what the
baby a
left
week
does.
before it's born.
Like this. I mean, again, it's so hard to be pro-choice on the right these days because morons, the absolute morons that make up the.
Yeah, that was a
It's
good
not.
tweet
Well,
this morning
there is no
from you.
pro-choice anymore. Like pro-choice is like right wingers who are like pro-choice, and the left is pro-abortion. So that's like hard to be because it's like you have to love killing babies. You have to love it.
If I was Lewis too, I would just keep bringing up the fact that Justin Trudeau can't justify late term or sex selective abortion, and just keep saying I'd love to ask him why he thinks he thinks that like you should be always allowed to kill a girl at any time. Like that should just be a
You're right.
justification. He would
Do
not
what
have
the
an answer
left
for it.
does.
He's not.
Frame the debate by the
Yeah,
most extreme cases. That's what pro-life needs to do. They can't stop with the stop making logical arguments. Stop it. Stop it. No one cares. Like you're
yeah.
doing it, the left's not doing it. Do what Wyatt said. Hit on the extremes.
And this
Say,
is where I
why
always
do you
found this.
think it's right to kill a baby at 8 months old? Why do you think sex selective abortions are okay? Why do you think it's okay to choose to murder a girl if because you don't want one?
Yeah.
Ask why do you think that's okay? And
And the thing is, everyone would be stumped. And the thing is that it's not even like, oh, I'm going to beat them and I'm going to get one over on them. Because I think at the end of the day, that question is a great setup for everyone to say, I guess we should actually probably outlaw the most clearly barbaric practice ever. Like, I think you could get Pierre Poilievre and even Jean Charest to say, hey, are you okay with sex selective abortion? They're like, "Yeah, okay, fair enough. I don't want to say that I would start banning everything, but I'd make a small cutout. It's not many. It doesn't happen a lot, but the whole point is it's so crazy we shouldn't have it allowed. But it's like, yeah, it's clearly just a very easy thing to do because just this is always hate about the whole Michelle Rempel. Justin Trudeau isn't a feminist thing because she was arguing it from a left wing perspective that he's not living up to crazy left wing values that I also secretly hold, but I'm not telling anyone about it. And it's like that's stupid. He'd always be like, he's not a real feminist because he sometimes throws women under the bus. Like, no, he's just corrupt. That doesn't mean anything. The whole point is that he's not a feminist because he wouldn't care if you aborted your like your female child a week before it's born because it's a female.
yeah, that's what it is. Now let me give another perspective, which is loser talk. I'm going to do some loser talk right now, and these are my opinions, but this is the opinions. I know the Conservative Party higher ups, and I know how they think, and I know how these political strategists think. So let's take time, thought experiment, loser talk. See, Wyatt, the reason we can't do what you want to do, and listen, we're with you. We think we agree with you. We think sex selective abortion is bad. But if we start to take these positions, then in a general election, the media will portray us as too pro-life, and we won't be able to get around it. So the media will keep asking us about abortion if we make a good point. So we can't make any good points because if we do, then the media will call us right-wing, crazy, religious nuts, and then we're just screwed because the CPC is mean to us. How could we possibly win?
Yeah. At least when I asked Leslie Lewis the question, she at least had she had a half good answer. You could tell her team was like to talk about abortion as little as possible, which is I think a bad move. But at least she said like, hey, the media is kind of acting like I'm being contentious for being against abortion, but other people aren't for these other like much more dark practices. And it's because they legitimately don't know what pro life people think, which is like a fair thing to say that the media has no clue what pro life people think about
Yeah.
anything. They just assume that they're evil, they want to like
No, they're just reading the Bible all day. They're just
yeah.
reading the Bible,
They
but
want
they
to
don't know how to read. They're
yeah.
illiterate, but just reading the Bible, and they don't know that Jesus is actually really pro-abortion and his Sermon on the Mount. And they're just tricked by Donald Trump or the Koch brothers, who
Yeah.
are libertarians and pro-abortion,
I was going to bring up the
into wanting less abortions.
I was just going to bring up the Alan Ferguson comment. He says they want to make it legal to kill babies 28 days after birth or whatever. That was literally a bill that almost passed in California, and that's how crazy this stuff is. It's like
Yeah,
the thing is that the hyper pro abortion crowd is so nutty. It would be so easy on a federal debate stage to just split the entire room, like split Canadians down the middle and eat up 50% of all the voters based on the fact that everyone else is going to have the most radical positions on the planet. Like I guarantee you could get Jagmeet Singh to say something that stupid, like say something that Ralph Northam would have said in Virginia. Remember the guy who was saying
yeah,
like, "Oh yeah, you can abort your kid like 7 days afterwards."
yeah.
It would
It's
have
just
been so
baby
easy.
murder. It's literally baby murder.
Yeah. Anyways, but to get off that issue, was there really anything else that's even worth
No, nothing.
discussing?
Nothing else of substance was said. Nothing of substance. We gave every candidate a grade. If you guys missed it, we graded on a scale of C plus to B minus because those are the only available grades. So moderator Tom Clarke, double F minus. Conservative Party, double F minus. Lewis and Sheree got C plus. Um, uh, Baber, Atkinson, and Brown and Polyev got a B minus, and Patrick Brown got an H for Hezbollah.
Yeah.
That's where they are.
Everyone can at least feel good if they didn't do well last night that no one
I
watched
like
it
this line.
anyways.
The pro-lifers, they thump Bibles, not read them. That's basically what the left thinks of anyone pro-lifers. They're just literally thumping Bibles. Bible! Bible!
I agree with Howard Vesper. I was embarrassed for Tom Clarke. I thought it was like you think that at some point I assumed that he would have actually eventually I think he did actually stop complaining at people for cheering because it was
Yeah.
so stupid. But yeah, it just killed the entire momentum of the debate.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, so those are the debates. Tom Clarke needs to be deported. Guys, I'm on it. I'm filling out the paperwork as we speak. Do you think there's anything else? I mean, let's not waste
Uh,
any more time on this.
yeah, I don't think I can
We
think of
forget this.
anything else. That was a terrible debate. Everyone
Yeah, if
did
you watch the
fine.
debate, doctors recommend that you just give yourself a concussion so you forget it. But then watch this if you really need to know. You can just watch this instead. Yeah, remember, like, share, subscribe, blah 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 blah. Click all the buttons, and we will see you guys next.